The sky cracked open. Lightning streaked across the heavens, splitting trees in half. The air thickened with the acrid scent of smoke, and thunder roared like an angry beast. The earth trembled, shaking huts, toppling market stalls, and sending the villagers scurrying for cover. They knew what this storm meant. Shango, the god of thunder and justice, was angry. But King Adebayo did not tremble. In his grand palace, he lounged upon his golden throne, a feast spread before him. Roasted lamb, plantains dripping with honey, and bowls of steaming jollof rice sat untouched as he toyed with a bejeweled goblet. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the windows, but the king merely smirked. "Let the gods rage," he scoffed, lifting his goblet. "I rule this land. Not them." The elders had warned him. "The people starve, my king. The farmers' fields have dried from the heat, yet your storehouses overflow. The gods will not stand for this greed." But Adebayo had only laughed. "The gods have not walked this land in years. Their fury is nothing but old stories meant to frighten children." And so, he feasted while his people suffered. One evening, a young mother named Kem stood before the palace gates, her child limp in her arms. The boy's ribs jutted out, his lips cracked and dry. "My king," she pleaded, voice shaking. "Please, spare just a handful of grain. My son is dying." King Adebayo barely glanced at her. "And if I gave grain to you, what of the next beggar? And the next? If I fed you all, what would remain for me?" Tears streamed down Kem's face. "Then what of your heart, my king? What would remain of it?" The guards shoved her away. That night, the boy took his last breath. The next morning, the villagers found Kem in the marketplace, standing in silence as the storm clouds gathered. When thunder rumbled overhead, she lifted her eyes to the heavens. "Great Shango," she whispered. "If you have not abandoned us, let your judgment be known." The sky answered with a bolt of lightning so fierce it set the palace gates ablaze. But still, King Adebayo did not yield. Days passed, and the suffering deepened. The river that once sustained the village had begun to dry. The wells produced only mud. The bakers' ovens remained cold, for there was no grain to grind. And then came the bandits. Starving men who had once been farmers took up spears and blades, their hunger turning them desperate. They stormed the market, tearing through stalls, snatching whatever food they could find. A young girl screamed as a thief yanked a loaf of bread from her grasp. The people cried out for their king to intervene. Adebayo sent his warriors, but not to aid his people. Instead, he ordered the capture of the starving thieves and declared, "Let them be made an example." That night, the villagers wept as the bandits, once their neighbors, were bound and paraded through the streets, their punishment cruel and final. The storm clouds thickened. Shango was watching. When the god finally came, it was not with a whisper, nor a warning. It was with fury. The palace doors burst open, blown from their hinges as a wind unlike any other tore through the hall. Goblets shattered. The golden tapestries ripped from the walls. Torches flickered, then died, plunging the chamber into eerie darkness. A deep, rolling voice echoed through the room. "A ruler's strength comes from his people, not his greed." The torches blazed to life once more, but their flames burned red. And there stood Shango. His mahogany skin gleamed with power, his red garments swirling like living fire. His eyes burned like embers, and in his hands, he held his mighty double-headed axe. Lightning coiled around his arms, crackling with rage. The king's guards rushed forward, fools that they were. With a mere flick of his wrist, Shango sent them sprawling, lightning arcing through the air. The palace trembled. Plates shattered. The very walls groaned beneath the storm's fury. King Adebayo staggered back, his arrogance flickering for the first time. "Great Shango," he gasped. have mercy." Shango stepped forward, his voice like rolling thunder. "Mercy? Did you grant it to the mother who begged at your gates? To the children who weep with hunger? To the farmers who lost their land?" Adebayo opened his mouth, but no words came. The god raised his axe, and outside, the sky screamed with lightning. Then, Shango did something unexpected. Instead of striking the king down, he turned and walked past him. The storm followed him, surging through the palace, tearing through the halls, and then out into the village. The people, who had gathered in fear, fell to their knees as Shango raised his axe to the heavens. "People of this land," he called, "tell me, what punishment does your king deserve?" Silence. Then, a voice. Nkem stepped forward, her eyes shining with tears. "Let him feel our suffering." Shango turned to the king. A surge of power crackled through the air, and suddenly, Adebayo gasped, clutching his stomach. Hunger, deep, gnawing, unbearable, twisted inside him. His fine robes felt coarse against his skin, his gold a mockery of warmth. The weight of the suffering he had ignored now crushed him. From this moment, Shango declared, "You will know hunger as your people do. You will walk among them, not as a king, but as a man who must earn his place. Only then will you understand what it means to rule." With a final crack of thunder, the god vanished. And King Adebayo fell to his knees. The next morning, the people awoke to an unfamiliar sight. A man, dressed in simple cloth, walked through the village, carrying sacks of grain. Where once he had ignored cries for help, now he listened. Where once he hoarded, now he gave. The hunger had not left him. It clawed at his belly, whispering of his past cruelty. But he did not fight it. He let it guide him. And so, the people honored Shango, not just as the god of storms, but as the god of justice. And whenever thunder rumbled in the distance, they bowed their heads, knowing it was not just a warning. It was a reminder.